Customer support, Forbes just had a new article. Customer support is the new flagship store. So if you're competing with a bunch of other businesses that are selling similar products, if you can add that layer of instant communication, you're going to win.
Eric Kades, welcome to the ROI Online Podcast.
Amazing, right?
Steve Brown, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So, Eric, you have this this company that, here's the thing, we're humans. And so we just want to talk to somebody, but often we feel thousands of miles away from someone that could be like really resolving a solution for us. But there's not many options right now. You go online, maybe there's a chat message and you got to wait, but you don't know if you're talking to a human or if you're talking to a robot. And then also you send in an email. You don't know when that email is going to be answered, but yet you have this solution that is shortcutting that process and can really get a connection with a live human in no time at all.
Yeah, it's something that I came across about a decade ago. I've been in the contact center business for 20 plus years. Of course, started out answering phones, making outbound phone calls. About 10 years ago, started to hear about this thing called live chat. And just out of common sense, I said, wow, everyone's paying all this money to bring people to their website. And that now there's this little widget that can pop up and talk to people. So I said, this is a business that's going to happen in the future and something that we need to do for our clients. Went to one of our voice clients and said, hey, we're getting in the live chat business now. Would you consider using live chat on your website? They did it. It was a large for-profit, publicly traded college and university, and we became their number one converting lead source. Go figure. So immediately when someone has a question, one of my agents pops up and answers those questions, and those people that talk with us first end up enrolling in that college better than any other lead source that comes in. Someone who calls, someone who fills out a form. No matter what it is, we still, to this day, 10 years later, are still their number one converting lead source. And I turned that into a business. We went on to 50 plus colleges and universities that we do this for today. We're still all of their number one converting lead source. And why is that? It's simple. It's because we're answering people's questions with real human beings at the exact second that they have the question. So they have anxiety about going to college. And, when we're there to answer, do these credits transfer or what's your FAFSA ID? They appreciate it. And they say, hey, this is a place that I could see myself attending. So all along that journey, I kind of had a problem. The problem was on our own website, when I would put one of my live chat agents on the website, inevitably, we would get a prospect looking at using us for their live chat on their university's website, and they would come in with a really tough question, specific about a certain software, and my agent wouldn't know the answer, and they would just say, you know what, sir, ma'am, that's a great question. Let me get your name and number, and someone will call you back. And then I would get an email like an hour later saying, you know what, we decided we're not going to use you because you don't really understand your software. We weren't even using our own software. And we're going to go a different direction. So I went to the live chat software companies at that time and said, hey, I need a solution for this. I need to get my salespeople, answering these questions so we could answer intelligently. And they all had answers for it. They all said, great, we have an app for that. I said, awesome. I'll give the app to our sales guys. Now when, University of North Carolina Online comes to check us out on our website, we'll be able to answer right away intelligently, and we'll close the deal. Well, prospective college comes on to our website, and I'm on the phone and someone else is doing something else. They're not in front of the computer and the prospect is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And we never see the app notification. So then I get an email a half hour later that says, hey, we just came to your website and we waited 3 minutes and no one picked up. We're not going to use you. We could never have someone like that represent our brand. And I would shut it down. So we sold live chat to colleges and universities for a decade very successfully without having live chat on our own website. And that really became the bane of my existence. It would keep me up at night that we wouldn't be able to answer our own live chat. Yes, we could answer it with our agents, but we couldn't answer when those critical questions came in. And these were big deals. So we didn't want to take that risk. And I would just tell prospective clients to go look at our competitors, go chat with them, and they'll get a good experience. And then we would close the deal. But still, we're a live chat company with no live chat. So one day, sitting here in my kitchen, Steve, I said to myself, what if you could answer a live chat with a text message? Mm-hmm. That would be so simple. We're all looking at our phones all day long. We could send a text message to multiple people at once. Whoever picked it up first could answer, and then we could close the deal. So I went to the CTO who was running our call center software at the time and said, hey, can you build a prototype of this where make it so the sales team can answer with a text message? A couple of weeks later, he had a prototype and TextChat was born, and we started answering our live chats on time and closing sales. So I never really thought of it as a product. It was just something that we were going to use for ourselves. And I told a friend about it. He told his friend about it, who happened to have an e-commerce store in Aspen, Colorado, small jewelry store called Taylor & Tessier, and told Adam how we answer our live chats with text messages. And Adam's like, oh my God, I got to try that. We've tried this live chat company and that live chat company and this live chat company, and we're never in front of our computer right when the live chat comes in or we're waiting on a customer. And I gave it to Adam, called me back 10 minutes later, said he just closed an $800 jewelry sale, and how can he invest in my company? I said, Adam, why don't you be our prototype and, our first beta customer, and we developed it over the next 4 months. I gave it to another buddy. He closed the sale immediately, called me, said he wanted to invest in the company, and TextChat was born. And, it's very simple. It's that immediate human connection when someone is on your website, either in shopping mode or buying mode, and you answer it right away, you close them 50% or more of the time.
So TextChat was born, but let's do a little differentiation here, because in most people's mind, text and chat is the same thing, but it's not. It's very different. So what is live chat app?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And our name actually is a little bit confusing, although it's a good brand name. Live chat is that widget in the bottom corner that you see on websites that pops up and says, hey, how can I help you today? And then may ask for your name and email. And then you hope to get transferred to a live person. Mm-hmm. But in today's world with chatbots, some of the time you're just getting automation, and then you're thinking you're going to speak with a live person. And then you get this message that says, great, we got your information. Someone will get back to you in 24 hours. And often they never get back to you. Mm-hmm. That's not what live chat was designed to do. Live chat was designed to foster human communication. And it doesn't. And I know this, Steve, because we comb websites that have live chat, and 80% of them do not answer with a human being. And it's not live at all. It's very much dead chat. And frankly, if you do it that way, it's very damaging to your brand, because you're breaking a promise to someone. You're like duping them into giving you information, and they think they're going to get someone and then they don't. You're losing that customer for life when you do that to them.
The premise of these live chat apps were like, okay, we're going to use artificial intelligence to sift through these initial interactions. These initial interactions are generally superficial. They're just starting to search. So live chat could interact with these a little bit until they hand it off to a real person. But what most people are finding is that the folks that are supposed to set these up, they don't know how to program them properly, number one. And then, like you said, they'll ghost you.
Yeah, to do live chat right, this is why we have a company for huge clients that have millions of visitors a month that get thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of chats a month. That's a full-time team that is answering those live chats. Well, if you're a smaller business, like we don't get a tremendous ton of traffic to our call center business. But I know that when someone's on our website and it's a prospective college, that's a big deal for me. I want to answer it. It's really hard to staff. And I think that's the biggest thing that people run into. They're like, I know this seems like a great solution, but I don't have any extra people to handle this. I can't afford to hire people to sit by the computer for what might be 1 or 2 or 3 chats a day, even though I know that if we have a human, we're going to close them, but I still don't have the staff to do that. So that's kind of, what we're trying to change and why TextChat makes it easy, even without extra staff. I had a chat come through on TextChat's website. I was on a sales call and a chat came through and it goes out to our team members, but I just want to jump on them because I know if I get that person right away, I'm going to close them and they're going to be a new TextChat customer. I can answer these when I'm talking on the phone. That's how easy it is. So that's kind of the big differentiator. You don't have to be tied to a computer or hope you see one of 75 apps give you a notification that's already on your phone.
So what is a live text chat support?
So so all of a sudden, I've been in the telecom business for 20 plus years. Texting has been around for 20 years. It started in the financial industry for security passcodes. All of a sudden, it's the hot new e-commerce thing, something that's been around for a couple of decades. And what text chat is, in terms of text messaging, is when someone puts text us, and you got to give them your name and your phone number to text. But my argument is that's great, but not everyone wants to give you their cell phone number and has that fear that you might start spamming them,
right?
Just to get a question answered. That might cause them to jump to another site that they can just live chat and get a quick answer. So really the difference is texting, first of all, is not always automatic. Someone might take 10 or 15 minutes to respond to a text message till they log into their computer or using that new text company's app to respond to you, where live chat is supposed to be live and immediate. And the big difference again is, I agree with all of them. First of all, if I'm a big buyer of Ralph Lauren, for example, I wouldn't mind if Ralph Lauren texted me special sales and things like that. But I also don't want 10 brands texting me. I want my go-to brands texting me, and that's it. Maybe I have room for 2 or 3 of them. So texting certainly has its place in e-commerce and any kind of conversion, but live chat has its place as well. And I would argue it's a better conversion tool than texting.
Yeah. The problem is we're mobile. And so oftentimes I'll decide I'll call like a energy company or whatever I need to do this annoying thing that I'm going to have to lose 45 minutes of my life waiting on hold. Instead of sitting somewhere, I want to do it while I'm driving, or I'm trying to use my time better. And I just pictured that your tool would be an awesome intercessor there, where it makes it easy to get my answer. I can do it on the move, and it just feels more friendly. It feels more like you respect my time and my way of life. And so I just see that your tool is like how to make sales and tech support would be so easy with your tool.
It really is. You get someone in that first minute. I mean, there's a lot of data out there I can give you a couple stats. 78% of customers buy from the first business they talk to.
Wow.
Think about that. 78%. The other, one that blows my mind is, 390, you have a 391% increase in conversion when you speak to someone within a minute. It's almost like, how are businesses not doing this? Customer support, Forbes just had a new article. Customer support is the new flagship store. So if you're competing with a bunch of other businesses that are selling similar products, if you can add that layer of instant communication, you're going to win. Of course, you got to get them to your website in the first place, but if you get them there, you're going to win.
Well, the default mindset is just send millions of people to my website and I'll just get a few of them. But in reality, most of the businesses that listen to this podcast, they don't have millions of visits, and they can't afford to have thousands of people come through and leave without any indication of what happened. And their solution is to somehow use technology, this artificial intelligence, to hopefully meet and greet these people and then raise a flag. We got a live one here, bring a human. And yet what you're offering shortcuts that process. How does artificial intelligence and data add value to businesses? And yet we still need that human connection.
It's a great question. And look, we're a chatbot company. So I believe in AI, conversational AI, which is really two technologies, natural language processing and machine learning, and advanced automation. And I believe in it big time. And where I believe in it, we do this for some of our college customers now, we build them chatbots. Look, if you're coming in and you need to reset a password, or you need to find out a FAFSA ID for your college because you're filling out your financial aid form, you don't need to speak to someone to get that answer quickly. AI can pick that up and say, okay, here's what that person's looking for. Boom, here's your number. In a millisecond, you have your answer and you don't need to talk to a human being. But there are a lot of questions that you can't automate, and especially on a product that is, more than $50 that you have some anxiety about buying. We like to use AI and automation to get buyers to humans, because we know that AI is 10, 20, maybe never going to be able to sell as well as a human. So use the technology to either answer someone's question quickly that can be automated, or using artificial intelligence to answer it. But when someone wants to buy something and they have a question, get them to a human. You're losing the game if you think about it any other way.
That's hard to discern that moment when you need to hand off to a human. So what is it about your technology that makes that easy?
Well, a couple things. AI and natural language processing and machine learning, which is conversational AI. AI is kind of this broad term and no one really knows what it means. And, the AI you're using to figure out what's a great drug for a certain cancer is very different than conversational AI and chatbots and, converting on your website. And like I had just mentioned, that's two key technologies: natural language processing and machine learning. So on the natural language processing side, the software is trying to figure out what it is that you're actually answering or asking. And so you can train AI over time to get better and better at figuring out what it is, Steve, that you're asking. At the same time, once it figures out what you're asking, it goes and taps the database and says, okay, here's the right answer for that question. But what often happens, especially in a new instance, when you're just starting to train it takes a good 6 months to a year to continually update that AI to train it to what you're trying to get to. A lot of times you'll get stuck in what I call wrong answer hell, which I've experienced myself. I went to a major automaker, one of the big, 4 automakers in our country. And I'm not going to tell you the car, anything personal. I was excited about a car that I read about in Motor Trend. And I went to the website, and first question I asked the AI was, how much does this cost? Mm-hmm. And the AI comes back, sorry, I don't know what you're asking me. Like the most obvious question. Right. I went back and asked, how much does it cost, 3 different ways, and it still couldn't answer. And then it left me hanging. And I was so, disenfranchised by the experience that I didn't even care about the car so much anymore, and just forgot about that new exciting car. So it's really, really important that you have that safety valve, that when you get in a wrong answer more than once or twice, that you're able to transfer that to a human being. Otherwise, you're going to lose a customer.
Yeah, you think about Alexa, you think about OK Google, you think about these great tools that I'm going to set this little device on my desk that's going to lurk and monitor everything I say. But if I happen to ask it a question, it's supposed to spit out this wonderful answer that I just needed right at that moment. But I would argue that most of us have gotten 80% wrong answers. I don't understand that. I can't answer that. These really offensive answers that you realize, oh, I didn't ask it in the right format. Therefore, this super smart thing can't understand me, it's not a super smart thing. And that's so frustrating. And I think it's like this, it's a barrier to adoption for businesses to put something like this on their website, when it could be this great solution, but more often than not, it's a big frustrator for the people that are the victims of it.
It really is. It's not fair. I mean, that's the biggest company in the world, doesn't have it all figured out yet. And, often I will steer our clients away from even using AI. Mm-hmm. There's a lot you can do with automation where in milliseconds, you could bring someone down a funnel with buttons, as opposed to trying to guess what it is that they're asking, and get the same result without all that frustration and confusion. So whenever we have, no matter how big the client is, I always steer them to starting with automation, and then let's figure out what points of this process does it make sense to have some open-ended conversation. But that's not the way most people attack it.